Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Erev Tov, everyone. Continuing the positive commandments. Yesterday we spoke about how a person who speaks Lashon Hara would transgress the Avera of Zachor et asher asa Hashem Elohecha leMiriam. So let's look at another one of the positive commandments that he says. Ve'over al yedei hasipur hazeh gam al mitzvat aseh ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Someone who speaks Lashon Hara would also transgress the mitzvah of you shall love your fellow as yourself. Shenitztavinu bazeh lachus al mamon chavero kemo shehu chas al shel atzmo, where we're commanded to take care and be considerate and concerned about our friend's money, just as we are about our own. And therefore, lachus al kevod chavero usapel b'shivcho, we have to be concerned about our friend's honor and speak well of him. Kemo shehu choshesh al kevod atzmo, just like he is mindful of his own honor. And when someone speaks Lashon Hara rechilut about his friend, or mekabel, or accepts it, even if it's true, and even the negative report is true, that he does not love that person at all, he's not fulfilling the mitzvah of as yourself. And the greatest proof of this, that he does not care about his friend. Is it not true that every person is aware of his own faults? But nobody would want anyone to know about my faults. I know my faults. I don't want people to know about my faults, but I know if everyone knows his faults. So therefore, why would you say it about someone else's faults? Why would you accept what someone tells you about someone else's faults? So that is a lack of ve'avta l'reacha kamocha. And if perchance that a few of his shortcomings would be discovered by other people, and then someone else is going to go tell his friends about your shortcomings, he would still wait and hope. If only Hashem would not allow those listeners to accept what he's saying about me. When you know someone is going around and spreading evil about what you do or who you are and what you've accomplished or lack of or thereof, you don't want other people to accept that. Okay, that's what you're hoping. That's what you're praying. And all of this is because of the desire that people do not view him as a dishonorable person. And he fears this, although he knows to have committed even though that what the guy is saying about me is nothing compared to what I've actually done. Because everybody naturally loves themselves. They love themselves a lot. Everything is swept aside because we want to preserve our own dignity. So too, in the same way, therefore you are required to do all of this to your fellow. To be concerned about his dignity in every possible way. It's not for nothing that the Torah told us the story about Noach when he became exposed. He got drunk and he became exposed and was naked, exposed by his sons. Okay, the Torah tells us, "Vayesht, vayishkar, vayitgal, vayarham." Noach drank. He became drunk. He uncovered himself. And Ham, saw his father. Ham was the son that saw the father's nakedness, and it was Shem and Yefet that came and covered him. So he says over here, V'Shem veYefet kisu et ervat aviem. Shem and Yefet came and covered their father's nakedness in order to save him from embarrassment. The Torah also records a blessing that Noach gave Shem and Yefet, and describes how eventually it was fulfilled. Of course, the Jewish people came from Shem. That's why we are called Semites. Okay, because Shem was first. שצריך אדם לחפות על גנות חברו. To show us the importance of this practice, that one must do his utmost to save a person from humiliation, כמו על של עצמו, just like he would do for himself. So this story, of course, Noach, we're going to read Bezrat Hashem next Shabbat. So it's a little reminder. But that's, in essence, what it would be everybody loves themselves. Nobody would want any word of negativity to be said about them or ill repute. So therefore, why do I have to accept for someone else when someone tells me about someone else? Or why should I for sure speak about someone else in a negative way? All right, so that is the second positive commandment. Positive commandment number 3. ולפעמים עובר נמי במצוות עשה דבצדק תשפוט עמיתך. Sometimes a person that speaks Lashon Hara or he believes Lashon Hara will also transgress the positive commandment of judging your friend favorably. Okay? It literally means with righteousness shall you judge your fellow. כגון, for example, שראה את חברו שדיבר או עשה מעשה. Reuven sees his friend Shimon say something or do something. ויש בדבר הזה לשופטו לצד הטוב או לצד הזכות. They can be interpreted in a favorable, meritorious light, or להפקו, or the opposite. So that's what you see. I see him doing something. Now, maybe, he looks like he's walking out with something under his bag. Okay, it looks like he's out of a store. You could think that maybe he's shoplifting, or maybe he's, he just wants to protect the item from the rain and the wind. Okay? Afilu imhu ish benoni, even if Shimon is just an average Jew, meaning he's not like this big chacham, he's just an average Jew. Nitchayavnu min haTorah mitzvat aseh hazu. We are given this positive commandment, ladun oto lekaf zechut, to judge him favorably. Ve'im ha'ish hu yereh Elokim. But if Shimon is God-fearing, so he's a big tzaddik, okay? Nitchayavnu ladun oto lekaf zechut. We are required to judge him favorably. Gam ki karov v'noteh yoter hadavar lekaf chova min kaf zechut. Even if by looking at his action, it's like 90% he probably did something wrong. Okay? And 10% maybe he didn't do something wrong. But if he's a tzaddik, we have to judge favorably in that situation. Umi she'olech u'msaper bignuto. And if Reuven goes and disparages Levi before Shimon, avur hadibur azesh diber, on account of this thing that Levi said, okay, or maaseh azot she'asa, or account of what Levi did, or mekabel, or Shimon accepts it, shenitchazek etzlo lignut avur zeh sheshama alav. He now looks at Levi negatively. Shimon now looks at Levi negatively because of what he heard from Reuven about Shimon. Velo dan oto lekaf zechut. And Shimon does not judge Levi favorably. Over b'mitzvat hasezu. Therefore, they transgress the commandment of this, of giving the benefit of the doubt. Okay. Dalet. Ve'al yedeh sipuro alashon hara or rechilut. If through a person's negative account, lashon hara or rechilut, hishbil et chavero ad she'ibed michiyato al yedeh zeh. Sometime you can debase your fellow so much that he loses his parnasa completely. He totally ruined his name. You go out there, you say, this guy, he's the biggest fraud. Don't even, and all of a sudden, nobody even wants to do business. Whether it's lie, true, whatever, no one wants to do business with this guy. Because of his mean-spiritedness, Reuven publicizes about Shimon that Shimon is not trustworthy. Or if Shimon is a craftsman, that's Shimon, that guy, he calls himself a plumber, but he's not really a plumber. He has no idea what he's doing. Okay, don't go to him, don't trust him, nothing. Or the like. Reuven would violate the commandment, a convert or a resident, he shall live with you. What does it mean? V'ne'emar, right after it says, V'che achicha imach, and your brother shall live with you. Shenitztavinu bazeh lahachzik beyad Yisrael shemach, that you have to assist a Jew who has become poor. V'liten lo matana o halva'a, by giving him a donation or a loan, or la'asot imo shutafut, or enter in a business partnership with him, or la'amsi lo melacha, or finding him work, kedesh yitchazek bazeh, so he should be strengthened. You don't want your fellow Jew to collapse and now have to require assistance from all the people around him. All the more so, for sure not to cause someone to lose his parnasa. So okay, this mitzvah is to uplift and make sure that person is solid, has solid footing in his parnasa. That's our obligation. It's in addition to the mitzvah of tzedakah. And by you speaking Lashon Hara about this guy and ruining his business, or ruining his ability to make money, now you are transgressing that one. I bet you not many people in this room probably thought that they were going to transgress that in a situation where you speak bad about someone's business. And we did speak about that in the past, a few weeks ago, maybe a year ago by now, about giving reviews online. What you say about people online and your business is online, and say, I went to this restaurant and it's bad food, or it was burnt and it was bad service. Like, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? Besides the fact that it's probably Lashon Hara. But is it really worth it that you're also transgressing this mitzvah? You're taking away from this guy's parnasa now as a result. You had an issue with a person. Okay, there's a restaurant. You pick up the phone, call him, say, listen, my steak was a bit dry. Okay, that's it. End the story. Then you have a one-on-one conversation. But you have to go post it on the whole Facebook for everybody to see what it is. You'll be transgressing this avera, this mitzvah taseh, unfortunately. Okay, go on. Number 5. Velifamim, sometimes, over al yedei kabbalato et lashon hara urechilut gam al mitzvat aseh dehocheach tochiach. By accepting lashon hara urechilut, you would be transgressing the positive commandment of rebuking your fellow. Kegon, for example, im ro'eh shechavero matchil lesaper lo bignut chavero. Let's say if Shimon sees that his friend Reuven, or his fellow Reuven, is starting to speak to him badly about Levi. Shimon knows that if he was to rebuke Reuven would listen to him. Okay? And he would probably stop speaking Lashon Hara. Or even if Shimon is unsure whether or not Reuven is going to listen to the rebuke. The halacha requires Shimon to rebuke Reuven in order not to carry through with the sin. If Shimon allows Reuven to give his 10-minute conversation about what he thinks about Levi, he certainly will violate this positive commandment. Here, the Chafetz Chaim adds his little side commentary, and he says, even if one resolves while listening, maybe Shimon's thinking, I'm going to let this guy talk for 10 minutes. Okay, I know he's speaking Lashon Hara, but after he finishes his talk, I'm going to tell him, listen, you probably shouldn't have said that to me. Gam ken lo kadinhu. That's also against halacha. How is it possible? If you see someone you know eating pork, God forbid, Yanichenu mitechila sheochal. Okay, let's let him finish eating the bacon. Okay, let him enjoy his meal. Misken, he worked hard to prepare the bacon. Okay, asmach sheochenu achaka. After he finishes eating, I'm going to go and I'm going to rebuke him, saying, you probably shouldn't have eaten that bacon. Does that make any sense? No. Uvaday minadin mechuyav lechichot techef. For sure, you have to reprove him right away. Maybe he's going to accept it. And stop eating. Because every kazait, a pig, is another avera. So why would you wait for him to stop his ham sandwich when you could give it to him right away? The same would apply to our case of Lashon Hara. Kol dibur ve'dibur shel gnut hu isu b'fnei atzmo. Every word, derogatory statement that a person makes about someone else is another avera. So don't think in your mind, okay, let him finish the conversation. I don't want to interrupt him, and I'll rebuke him later. Chas v'shalom. There are instances, he does say, where delaying the rebuke might be proper. Im lo shehu roeh. Unless he realizes that by allowing him to finish the 10-minute story, he'll be in a better position to show other listeners, using the story itself, that the account is slander. So you know that it's slander, and there's other people listening. I'm going to make sure Reuven finishes the story so I can prove to everybody else that what Reuven's saying is all Motzi Shemra, and it's all slander and there's inconsistencies or discrepancies. Or another way why it's better to wait for the story to end. Times halakha even requires the listener to let him finish the story. Because it involves something that he has to pay attention to. Because it could protect the welfare of the victim. Lachush, to suspect that maybe the information is true. Which we'll explain later on in Klal number 6. But if the listener realizes that this 10-minute account involves nothing but antagonism against a fellow Jew, or he's just mocking him, or ridiculing him, and belittling him, and worse, then anybody who takes the initiative to rebuke the person right away, and thereby interrupts him from the account, is performing a great mitzvah. Everything we wrote about this halakha applies even if there's other listeners present. And with regards to the mitzvah of before a blind person not to put a stumbling block, goes, go back and see what I wrote over there. When he did go, and we learned it in the class here about putting a stumbling block. You have the opportunity to rebuke, and there's 5 other people listening to the Lashon Hara, and you don't rebuke the person, stop him in his tracks. Now you're placing a stumbling block for the 5 people that are listening, okay? Because they are listening to Lashon Hara. And therefore, this is another one of our mitzvot aseh that a person would transgress. We'll stop here.